But we ready to do this. Let's rock and roll.
Warning, the RCWR show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, what's going on, kind people? For Wednesday night of February 3rd, 2021, you're checking out an all-new The RCWR Show, covering latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. Lee Sanders here. We are talking. Man, it's good to be doing this once again for you guys. I know it's been a good minute. We'll see how this goes. And honestly, if you guys want more Wednesday night editions of The RCWR Show when it's permitted, when I can pull it off, I'll definitely give it to you guys. Otherwise, if you guys prefer and you want me to maybe just have the audio version be available for on demand and on the downloads, I can definitely oblige to that. But tonight we're talking NXT and we are talking AEW Fallout. I figure we stay on, since we just did a show Monday night, I figure we stay on probably about an hour. I really got to be pressed for time tonight. I know normally when I say that, I know you guys get a nice little hearty chuckle. I do get a hearty chuckle as well, because it's we're only going to do about an hour and then yeah, that's it. And somehow we end up going 90 minutes and all that. But tonight is very different because I actually have a homework assignment that's due by midnight tonight. So I actually want to be done with this show no later than, you know what, I'm willing to go exactly an hour from right now. So if we can do what we got to do, get up out of here, I think by 11:15 we should be rocking and rolling, good to go. AEW did their Beach Break event, and a lot of areas I was quite pleased with. Some areas were, and then the main meat and potatoes over on NXT for this week was Edge. Edge was already advertised. Edge is going to be appearing on NXT, so you're definitely wondering, okay, how's that exactly going to play out and everything? You know, it was nice taking notes between both shows. If you were to ask me straight up, who had the better show tonight for this week? Just on quality, but then what I think is probably going to happen in the ratings, right? Because that's a completely different thing. It's one thing to talk about the quality, but then how's it going to actually end up when you look at the ratings? As far as quality goes between NXT and AEW for this week, I would have to say, man, it feels like a damn tie, honestly. If I absolutely had to choose, just had to choose, I think just by a margin, it would be NXT. Again, for quality, overall quality of the show. And that's because you had Edge as that main hook, line, and sinker for checking out NXT tonight. Take away Edge, and it's essentially a tie, I personally feel. Even when you look at just overall the amount of matches that both shows had and look at the quality of those matches, I would say it's a tie as well. So now that I've said that, what do I think is going to happen with the ratings? Stick around. I'll definitely give you guys some dirt on what I think is going to go down. And look, not for nothing, I've done a pretty damn good job with my projections the night before, letting you guys know who I think is going to win the ratings war for that respective week. And for the most part, I'm pretty damn close. A lot of times it's pretty scary how accurate I am. As long as you are checking out my official numbers the night before on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube, you guys will see exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so took some notes, had my nice setup. I was happy to have my setup again. I had on the big screen TV, Beach Break, and then on my tablet, I had NXT going. So I didn't miss anything. Took some really good notes. All right, so NXT's openers. Let's talk about both shows' openers. NXT had the strong powerhouse, the lovely Raquel Gonzalez, teaming up with Dakota Kai as they took on the team of Casey Catanzaro and Kate Carter. Meanwhile, for AEW's opener, It was the tag team number one contenders match. Basically, whoever won this was going to be able to face the Young Bucks at AEW's Revolution pay-per-view event for those AEW tag titles. Your participants in this one, Young Bucks. Kind of weird, because I know you guys hear that. You're like, wait a minute. Why the fuck are the Young Bucks in that? Because remember, the Young Bucks entered this, and essentially, if they the won, then they would have been looking to challenge the Good Brothers for their Impact World Tag titles. So that's why I know it's kind of crazy, and you kind of have to do a double take when you hear, wait a minute, Lee, you just said, now you kind of understand what's going on there. So that's why the Young Bucks were involved in that one. Top Flight, Private Party, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. Dark Order's Alex Reynolds and John Silver. Chris Jericho and MJF. Evil Uno, who's that? Stu Grayson. So you got some more Dark Order members in there. Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager, I apologize. Santana and Ortiz, and the Acclaimed. Those were your participants for the AEW Tag Team Battle Royale there. Look, that's exactly what it was, essentially. If you're still feeling a little bit of a Royal Rumble hangover, then this opener for AEW, this was it for you. Me personally, just fresh off of the Royal Rumble weekend, I didn't particularly care for this style of a match, if you will. I wish it actually would have been tweaked a couple of weeks prior by the good people at AEW. I actually wish it would have been some type of a gauntlet match. I mean, who would complain about that one? That's just and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, having the whole Royal Rumble hangover. Look, you saw the Royal Rumble and you didn't mind what you got tonight with AEW's opener. Good for you. That's good for you. But for me personally, I actually wish it would have been more of a tag team spotlight. You feel where I'm coming from? I wish it would have been, because not for nothing, but all the participants that I just named that were participating in this tag team matchup, all of these respected guys in their own right, pretty damn good tag team. So I wish that, if anything, it would have been a good spotlight on the tag team division. And it's kind of sad that we didn't get that, but it is what it is. Towards the end, looks like it came down to Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, MJF, Chris Jericho, and I believe the Acclaimed might have still been hanging around there, at least one of the members of the Acclaimed. And people were just going out as far as the eliminations go. The eliminations were happening just boom, 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 boom. I mean, we really didn't waste any time with the eliminations here. But your winners for this one, Chris Jericho, MJF. Chris Jericho and MJF. Sammy Guevara walked away feeling pretty damn pissed off over what had went down, because he was really hoping that it was going to be him and Jericho somehow, that maybe we're going to be able to win this. I guess when it's all said and done, it's a younger brother, if you will, looking up to his big brother, or if you want to say a son, a pretend son, kind of looking up to his pretend father there. Hey, didn't I do you proud? Didn't I do you justice? Hey, and looking for that validation, if you will. So we see Sammy Guevara was really hurt by the fact that it wasn't him that was sharing the ring there, sharing the victory with Jericho. We would see exactly where Sammy Guevara's mindset was at later on, as there was a backstage scene where Chris Jericho, MJF were celebrating, and they had a big old cooler that they were taking to members of the Inner Circle in there. Oh man, sorry about that. Got a little double vision. You got a little double vision. I gotta tweak that. Matter of fact, I think I can actually tweak it right now here off the slide. Give me a second here, and I can actually tweak that. But yeah, they went backstage to find the rest of the members of Inner Circle, who were in their Inner Circle locker room, just chilling and everything. And Jericho relishing in the fact that, hey, we got the spot. We're gonna be able to take on the Bucks for those titles at Revolution. Hey, it's calls for celebration. Come on, get down and everything. And Sammy Guevara was not feeling it. He actually says to Jericho, you know, man, you claim that, you know, we're all in this together, but we really aren't. I see how it is. And he just storms out of the locker room. And Jericho, you could see Jericho legit felt hurt by what Guevara said, and he actually chased after him. Now, this is where things really pick up here on an interesting note, because once Jericho chases after Guevara, and we never see those two again. We never do see what was the outcome of Jericho trying to catch up with Guevara. We never do see that. So I don't know if maybe that's going to be covered on the AEW podcast that they normally do after Dynamite wraps up, because usually Shivani is doing a few things, has a few guests that stop by, or if maybe there's going to be something of a continuation on social media, or we're just going to have to wait until next week's shows. We'll have to wait and see. But interesting enough, MJF, he says to the rest of the guys there of Inner Circle, you know, hey guys, you know, not for nothing, but there's something very important that I need to bring to y'all's attention that I feel at this point really needs to be talked about. Wardlow manned the door. And Wardlow mans the door, and per MJF, requests to have the cameras out of the locker room, so we don't get to hear or see what was going on there. But this, you know, I called this probably about, what was it, guys? Longtime listeners. This was probably about, it feels like 5 months ago. You know, 5 months ago. It's one thing to be jumping on the bandwagon now, but when you're rewinding it 5 to 6 months ago and you're saying, hey, this would be a really cool idea if we go in this direction, it's really looking as though, I said this 5 months ago, you got to have MJF somehow infiltrate the Inner Circle. Somehow he ends up becoming the new leader of the Inner Circle. And as a result of that, you oust Chris Jericho. You strip him of his rankings and all that. And if you ever wanted to get back to a babyface Jericho, that was essentially the way that you did it. And the way that they are setting this up, the pacing of it is pretty good. I will admit, though, there was a whole bunch of hokey-dokey bullshit that was going around that just really pissed me off the wrong way. By the way, I do see what you guys are saying in the chat while I'm live, so don't think I'm ignoring you guys. Just when the timing is right and what you say syncs up to what I'm talking about, I'll definitely show you some love. But yeah, we're streaming live for the next little bit. We're streaming live on YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, also on, I think that's it. Yeah, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, YouTube. We're going to get Facebook back into the groove of things next week. I'm still working out some IT stuff. If you notice, Facebook, it's been 1 minute we're on Facebook, then, you know, we're still dealing with some tech stuff, but I'm hoping to have that be resolved at least by next week. But yeah, I said this about 5-6 months ago. That's the direction that you got to go. But there's been some hokey dokey bullshit in between. I didn't appreciate the 1 week where we see the Inner Circle. They're having a grand old ball out in Las Vegas. You know, they're getting their drink on. They're looking at the strippers. They're looking at the Elvis impersonators and all that other silly shit. And then literally the very next week, you know, we want to get technical. Maybe it was 2 weeks, but it damn sure wasn't a month after what they did in Las Vegas. We get the Inner Circle, you know, oh, we're having problems. You know, in order for this group to continue being active, in order for us to continue being a unit, we all got to be on the same page. Let's take a week to think about this. And we need to decide if we're going to continue to do this or if the Inner Circle is going to break up. And you're like, that's fucking stupid. We just saw you guys like a week ago doing your thing in Las Vegas. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, what the hell? Right? And so we kept saying stupid shit like that. And that really did not help out the main meat and potatoes of this story arc, which I've always felt the elevation of MJF through association with Jericho in the Inner Circle, and ultimately the turning of Jericho becoming a babyface once again and everything. So it's nice to see what all's happening right now. I have a personal feeling just as far as just where the story arc is going and everything. If I were to just kind of put on the writer's cap for a hot minute there, it would be probably interesting just in storyline, and I don't need to overanalyze this. I'm not sitting down, jotting down notes. It's just spontaneous, just how it comes to me. And I was thinking this way 5 to 6 months ago initially, when I was very, very interested in seeing this particular story arc happen. I wouldn't be surprised if MJF said in storyline to the rest of the Inner Circle guys, look, it's obvious that Chris Jericho is, pretty distracted here over what's going on with Sammy Guevara. Look, you guys have seen, we can all admit, when I first came into you all's circle here, yeah, if there was ever any doubt, if there was ever any room for skepticism, totally I understand that. But you know what? Time and time and time again, I've proven myself. I've proven my worth. I've validated myself as a member of the Inner Circle. And I appreciate you guys. I know winning you guys over, it took a while. But look, I'm continuing to represent us as best as humanly possible. Sammy Guevara, we got to be honest here with ourselves, guys. We're getting to a point here where Sammy is still very young in his career. He has a long way to go. A long way to go. But it's obvious his head is not in the right place right now. And the only way that we're going to be able to continue to operate as a cohesive unit, we all got to continue to be on the same page. Now, I'm doing my part. You guys are doing your part. But it's pretty obvious that Sammy Guevara has his own intentions here. Look, I'm just saying something to think about. Maybe we should consider cutting bait with Sammy. Because as long as Jericho continues to coddle Sammy, we're never really going to be able to attain our truest potential. And somehow I could just, in storyline again, I could see MJF really syncing that up to what's going to be happening at Revolution. Hey, this is a great opportunity right here. And getting back gold. We've been on a bit of a funk as of late. But here's a great opportunity for us right here to get back to the heart of the matter, start bringing back championships to the Inner Circle. I could see, it's almost like, it's almost kind of like Doug Collins when he was coaching the Chicago Bulls there, and he had Michael Jordan there for that hot minute. You could see the freaking potential that was there with the Doug Collins, Michael Jordan combo for you older cats that remember your basketball. But once Doug Collins was fired and then Phil Jackson comes along and he introduces that white hot triangle, offense and all that, that's when Jordan was essentially able to take his game to that next level and everything. It almost kind of feels like one of those type of things where somewhere down the road, you could definitely make the argument that MJF, hey, look, with me coming in here, the ultimate setup, hey, with me being part of Inner Circle, look at what all has happened. This has happened, this happened, this has happened. Just imagine if you guys had made me the leader instead of Jer. I can see literally all of that freaking happening. All of that freaking happening. So, hey, whether or not it's going to be executed that way, we'll have to wait and see. But it seems like they're trying to do their best to get back on track. So we'll see what goes down with that. Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai, meanwhile, for their opening match there against Casey Catanzaro and Kate Carter, they won that respected match. And remember, that was a tournament joint. We're still doing the tournament. I've been checking out a little bit of NXT and AEW here and there. Definitely a couple of episodes I've missed. I'll definitely admit that. So the last thing I'm going to do is bullshit you guys. If I'm not really sure about something, I'm definitely going to give it to you guys right between the eyes. But for the women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Semifinals, team of Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez advancing. First of all, because I've missed several weeks of NXT programming. Nice to see Raquel and Dakota Kai are still at it. I was really hoping that Raquel Gonzalez, and if you guys had checked out the slate of shows I put out from last week when it came to trying to figure out who's going to be coming out for the Women's Royal Rumble, y'all definitely backed me up on this. I definitely gave a nod to Raquel Gonzalez. I told you guys that's a girl I very much have been pleased with her in-ring work and everything. She's been developing quite awesomely in the past several months. And I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't get to see her in the Rumble. True enough, there's actually was a decent amount of people that was expecting her to be involved in that Women's Rumble. Believe it or not, there actually was a decent amount that was expecting her appearance, but it didn't happen. So to see her be involved in this Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament, good shit right there. And so that was pretty much your head-to-head openers there. Next, and both matches, I should say, both matches ended at the same time. I thought that was very interesting. I just thought that the timing was really weird given what all was transpiring throughout the night. Very weird. Next up, AEW, there was an interview that Tony Schiavone conducted with Darby Allin. Pretty short, pretty brief. Taz was there, but that's not what I wanted to get to. I was actually thinking about the icon Sting. Sting was there as well. And remember some of the actions that Team Taz has been causing the past couple of weeks. It's gotten them a couple of fines. Well, here tonight, they actually were banned from being inside the building. Since when do heels oblige the rules there? That was just kind of silly to me. If you're going to hit... I'm sorry, I'm a stickler for details, so you guys got to forgive me. But, if I'm a team of guys that take no bullshit and they're led by Team Taz, you feel where I'm coming from? And everything that you need to know about Team Taz, you just look at that FTW championship that Taz brought in there and everything, and how there's been a couple of matches for that title and all that. It's like, wait a minute. Fuck the rules. And in this case, fuck the world. We're going to get hit with a little silly fine and suspension. We're going to be told that what's the ramifications for this if we just say, screw your fine. Screw your ban for the night. What? We're not going to get our match against, what's the worst thing that can happen? So I kind of wish in that instance something would have gone down there. I don't know, teach its own, but Team Taz pretty much cutting their promo, essentially saying they can't wait to get their hands on those guys. If it wasn't for the ban for that night, they actually would be looking at Darby and Sting face to face right now. Like, okay. But then even at that, it's okay, well, not for nothing, but Darby Allin wasn't in ring action for tonight. Sting wasn't in ring action for tonight. I don't know, just to kind of make sense out of what we were seeing come about, and for continuity purposes, don't you think it would have made all the sense in the world to see Darby Allin and Sting have a moment backstage where, hey, thanks for having my back. Yeah. Remember what I talked about. Remember what we got to do at Revolution now. Yeah, definitely. Hey, I'll call you when I get to the hotel room. If we could have seen one of those guys get the living shit kicked out of them, I'd have been down with that. If you want to have things in a way where the other person hears what's going on, hey, get away from him, and then you do the numbers game, I should say. Okay, cool. I wouldn't have minded. I personally wouldn't have minded, but we didn't go in that direction tonight. I was a little bit miffed by the way that was just left dangling in the wind there. Didn't overanalyze, just instantly flowed out. I'll tell you this much, though. I immediately thought, well, they're probably going to get jumped backstage in a parking lot or something. I thought that as soon as the segment pretty much was over. And pretty much by the time the main event came about for Dynamite, and the fact that we still didn't get that spot yet, it definitely left me scratching my head wondering, what the hell? It is what it is. Meanwhile, we got a tease for Edge on NXT. the tease for Edge, he was in William Regal's office. Two of them were chatting. So you're going, okay, all right, well placed. Well placed, WWE. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Fans already know they're going to get Edge, but to actually get that, I mean, the way they just strung fans along for we got Edge here tonight was good shit. Was good shit how they did it. Good shit how they did it. All right. Second matchup of the evening, NXT, Austin Theory took on Leon Ruff. Meanwhile, on AEW, Thunder Rosa took on the Doctor, Britt Baker, DMD. You know, that Leon Ruff, he's really growing on me. He really, really is. I think I've said this before, so forgive me if I sound a little bit redundant, but he reminds me so much of Ring of Honor's Cheeseburger. I love this Leon Ruff dude. I really do. And his match against Austin Theory, good stuff right there. You know, it's kind of weird because when I see both men make their entrances, I'm just going, oh man, Austin Theory, he's got this guy beat just from a physical standpoint. How the hell is Leon Ruff? But then once the bell rings and I'm looking at both men, I'm going, okay, well, not for nothing, but Leon Ruff is he kind of has that Kofi Kingston build a little bit. And you're looking at his build compared to Austin Theory, you're going, okay, you know, yeah, there's a slight bit of size difference there, a slight bit. But man, matching Leon Ruff there with Johnny Gargano, who's at ringside, causing all kinds of distractions, a little bit of fuckery here and there. I love the spot there where Leon Ruff pretty much laid out Johnny G. And then you see Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae come out to check up on Johnny. But then they get attacked, the girls that is, they get attacked by Shotzi Blackheart and Amber Moon. All right, so you got all of that intertwined. That was good. That was good, what was going on there. Love that. Good stuff right there. Austin Theory, though, all said and done, picking up the W over Leon Ruff. You know, not for nothing, that was a good match. If I were to be perfectly honest, though, during this particular segment block, I was more interested in the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker match. You know, I loved how these girls, through AEW booking, I love how their story arc has been developing thus far and the point of where we're at now and everything. By the way, two things. One, Thunder Rosa's attire tonight, it made me want to drink a Corona. I don't know if anybody else was picking up that vibe, but of all the nights, yeah, tonight was the night. You know, if you wanted something of alcoholic beverage, just looking at Thunder Rosa's attire. I mean, literally, I wish I was, you know, telling a funny ass joke or something like that. But no, literally, when you look at her colors, you literally wanted a fucking Corona. I ain't talking about the coronavirus either. So, by the way, once again, I gotta repeat it. I do see what you guys are saying in the chat, so please don't think I'm ignoring you guys. So, shout out to Devin, shout out to Alfred, shout out to Dark. I do see what you guys are saying in the chat. Once again, you know, if it syncs up perfectly to what I'm talking about, I'll definitely show you some love there. But not for nothing, one thing that I can do for you guys while we're streaming the show here, I can just pop up the nice little chat here. There you go. Pop the little chat box there so you guys can see yourselves while you all are engaging with me and talking to each other. Don't forget, you guys can definitely talk to each other, you know, not for nothing, depending on how you're checking this out. You guys can interact with each other as well. But yeah, Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, I was more interested in their matchup. These girls tore the fucking house down tonight. I got to tell you, of all the matches on the AEW card for tonight, I definitely got to give it up to Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. I thought they hit a home fucking run tonight. Can I take a quick sidebar? Are you guys noticing? Now I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Are you guys experiencing any type of buffering whatsoever? Are you experiencing any type of lag If you are, let me know, because I'm looking at my performance metrics, and it kind of seemed as if at one point my quality had got a little bit sluggish. So let me know how it is for you guys that's watching live right now. I mean, my CPU usage, it's pretty good. Looks like I'm in the green status right now, but for whatever weird reason, it was in the red there for a hot second. So weird shit. But anyway, yeah. So if you didn't watch AEW tonight, of all the matches, I would say go out of your way to check out. I definitely would say Thunder Rosa is the one match there. Thunder Rosa taking on Britt Baker. Surprising finish though. I'm not gonna shit on it, but it was a surprising finish because I'm just taking notes, and at some point I see Thunder Rosa is just knocked out. Just knocked out. And you're like, what the hell? And Britt Baker, she does her trademark hand in the mouth submission and all that, and she's trying to get Rosa to tap out, but Rosa never taps out. And the referee is checking on Thunder Rosa. He's checking up on her, and he decides, okay, I got no choice. I got to call for the bell. This match is over. So essentially, Britt Baker picking up the W via TKO, so to speak. So that was very surprising to me that the finish went like that. I was expecting for there to be some type of fuckery. But, you know, we essentially, just for the final moments of it, fuckery in a fashion of Britt goes over because of fuckery. But for it to happen like that, just, you know, essentially cleanly. I mean, obviously, the two of them, they're not done. Not by a heartbeat. They are not done. And who knows, maybe they're going to meet up again when it comes to that AEW Women's Tournament, which they had revealed the participants for. Let me actually get the notes here for that, because I definitely want to tell you guys a lot more about that. I'm pretty excited for that too. Although I will admit, the fact that we got a bunch of names for the Japanese side, we got a bunch of Japanese women wrestlers that we don't know jack shit about, and then we got some American names that we recognize. But yeah, the competitors for the AEW's women's title eliminator tournament, the names were announced tonight during Beach Break. All right, here's your Japanese brackets. Aja Kong, everybody knows about Aja Kong. Yaka Sakazaki, hopefully I pronounced that right. Vinny, Emi Sakura, Ryo, Mi Segura, Ren Katakora, and Makai. I ain't even gonna try to pronounce that last name, so I already know I did a bad job butchering some of these. Meanwhile, for our US brackets, these just roll off my tongue with ease. With ease. Serena Deeb, Ryo, Britt Baker, Ty Conti, Thunder Rosa, Nyla Rose, Anna Jay, and Leela Hirsch. And it was already announced that for the first round, it's going to be Serena Deeb taking on Ryo. So, should be pretty damn good. Look, as far as who I think is going to come out winning the whole damn thing, you know, just to really make things interesting, it would be pretty badass if you had Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker meet up in the finals. Thunder Rosa going over. That would be pretty damn badass. If you weren't going to go in that direction, I could still see Thunder Rosa in the finals. I could still see her in the finals. Now, see, it depends. How are we looking at this? Is it definitely going to be a Japanese female in the finals? Or are we, right? So you kind of got to look at it a couple of different ways there. If we're strictly going to look at it from Japan versus USA. Dun, 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 dun. Round one, fight. Hadouken! If we're looking at it from that standpoint, I would say Damn, for the Japanese side. Some of these girls, I actually am a little bit familiar with their work. I'd love to see Aja Kong go deep, but I just don't see it happening. Sakura really jumps out to me. She really jumps out to me. Okay, yeah, I would say Sakura. And then for your U.S. bracket, I'm still going with Thunder Rosa. I think when it's all said and done, Thunder Rosa is probably going to be the one come out on top. We'll wait and see. See NXT Lucha House Party taking on Legado del Fantasma. Legado del Fantasma picking up the W. Honestly, didn't care. Two shits about that match. Seriously. If AEW, I can't wait to see the quarter segments because I'm very curious to see how many people were actually tuned in for that particular matchup. I'm very curious to see, okay, these are the participants for this segment. I'm very curious to see how many people switched over to NXT instead. Very curious because while this match was coming about, if I'm not mistaken, Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker was still going on. So you had a little bit of a run over there for AEW. So I'm very curious to see how that had panned out. Also, on top of that run over, once Rosa and Baker wrapped up, you had a backstage segment where Heyman Adam Page was dressing up in Matt Hardy's locker room, and they pretty much were talking about, apparently, I guess this was filmed, if not earlier in the day, maybe it was filmed last week, something like that, but the idea was pitched, how about we team up and we take on Chaos Project? What do you say? And Heyman Page, a little bit reluctant, but maybe he was kind of feeling a little bit of, I don't know, maybe the term is guilt. Maybe he was feeling a little bit of guilt because, hey, Matt Hardy did me a solid, said I could dress in his locker room anytime, and sure, what the hell, I ain't really doing nothing else. Was that maybe the case? Who knows? But it was what it was. Meanwhile, check this out. This is where things really, really get interesting here. Your wedding segment on AEW, that pretty much went head to head with Edge. Edge came out during the Bruiserweights. Who was it? Bruiserweights, Pete Dunne, as he was interacting with the NXT champion and Finn Balor. Edge came out there really setting the tone and saying to both men, passion, fire. Those are just some of the things that I see here in NXT that I really, really, really like. And it's that fire, it's that passion that really lit my ass up when I decided I wanted to get back into wrestling after 9 years. And NXT, you guys here, you helped me with that. And ultimately, after that 9-year drought, I was able to come back, win the Rumble. I've got a shot to face any champion of my choosing here in WWE at WrestleMania. And he told both men, he said, what's going on between you two? Let me tell you something. That championship right there, that's a title that I've never held. Of all the titles, that's one I've never held. So that intrigues me. I'm going to be watching you all's fight at TakeOver. And let me tell you something. Based on what happens at TakeOver, it just might cause me to make a choice. So, in his own kind of nice way, hey, good luck, but I'm going to be watching you guys. It's kind of one of those type of deals. I love the way that they have gone about using, and of all the people that you could use on your roster right now, it just fits that mode so perfectly of just bouncing between all the brands there. I love it. He's already being advertised for SmackDown next. So I can't wait to see what happens with him and Roman Reigns next. That should be some solid shit. But I like this. I like the fact that we've got the Royal Rumble winner just bouncing around between all the brands, and just the the heightened elevation. Well, heighten and elevate, it's pretty much the same thing, but the elevation that WWE is having Edge doing storyline of this championship is as equally as important as this championship, and this championship is as equally as important as this championship over here. I love that. I freaking love that. Good. I love the way it's booked. And then, man, wouldn't that be something? Edge, Balor, WrestleMania. And then you want to talk about a huge, man, what that would do for just NXT alone for the short term. As far as short term goes. Wow. Talk about a boost. I don't know how significant of a boost they would get in viewership and with regards to the Wednesday War. I don't know how much boost they would get just with Edge alone and everything, but I must say that would be a very intriguing matchup. Hell, even if you wanted to do a triple threat between Edge, Balor, Dunn at Mania for the NXT Championship, I'm sold. I would be fucking sold. Could be Edge and Roman Reigns. I mean, that on paper, that fucking is great as well. I'm still not high on Edge McIntyre. I'm still not high on that. Remember a couple of nights ago when we were on the show, remember how I was telling you guys about, look, I think Edge is honestly, in case he hasn't already said it in interviews, you just look at what was going on with him before he had that injury come about and he was sidelined. No, he wants to do this on, as close to a full-time basis as humanly possible. Remember when I had said that? Well, following up on that, because I literally had talked about that. If I didn't talk about that on the Royal Rumble post show, I know for a fact I talked about it on this past Monday's show. So scoop it up when you get a chance. But in a recent interview with CBS Sports, Edge had discussed not wanting to be a part-timer in WWE. And here's some of the highlights here. Check this out. Now, he talked about his physical status after the Royal Rumble and his match on Raw. He said, and I quote, "I will not tell a lie. I have felt better. I feel like I got tossed around in a hurricane a little bit. I feel like I should feel worse at the same time, if that makes sense. After being off for 7 months with torn triceps and the long break that I had before that, there's no way to fully prepare for this other than to get in and do it. I was in there for a long time and scuffled with a lot of people, so I didn't necessarily know how I was going to feel. Once the adrenaline started to wear off, I was like, oh, okay, I'm feeling this. I felt worse, though. I'll take it." Here's the key part here on not wanting to be a part-timer in WWE. Home in on this now, and this should settle any arguments, any concerns that people are having, especially that whole argument about, part-timers coming in here. This should squash that. I didn't come back just to do a greatest hits tour. That's not why I came back. I didn't just want to do regurgitated greatest hits. I wanted to come back because I wanted to tell compelling stories. I wanted to get in with a lot of the talent so that if I could impart wisdom from 29 years of doing this in terms of trying to tell a story, that's really exciting for me. I love so much of this talent, and it's exciting to be able to get in with them. Did I necessarily know that I was going to try to work toward WrestleMania? No. A lot of those things are out of your hands. I did know I was going to put the work in to be able to do it if called upon. That's part of my responsibility in coming back as well. I don't just want to be another body. I want to be able to help and to help the totality of the industry if I can. If that means that this year Edge main events WrestleMania, okay, I will do my part to make that happen and make it as compelling as I possibly can. But I also want to get in there with loads of talent. My goal is to come back and tell great stories in the main event of WrestleMania or on Raw. whatever it is. I came back committed to this. After my family, this is my top priority. If I'm asked to be in a title program heading into WrestleMania, I'm here every week. That's the way I operate. I'm not going to be a guy who comes in for 1 week and floats off for 8 weeks. Marinate on that once again. I'm not going to be a guy who comes in for 1 week and floats off for 8 weeks. If I'm involved and I'm in the mix, I'm going to be here every week because that's how I operate. So once and for all, that should squash, because I actually saw that argument that was being put out there. And remember, I was just on this show Sunday and Monday, and I pretty much had defended Edge winning the Royal Rumble. Remember that. So now that we've got Edge and his own words, as if what you saw before his tricep injury wasn't convincing enough, that, I don't know, this guy's kind of here on a regular basis. Now that you got what you heard there from Edge in black and white with the interview he conducted with CBS Sports, great interview, by the way. Hopefully that kind of gets everybody a bit more reserved and say, okay, well, let's see how it goes with Edge and these story arcs. Let's see what happens here. All right, so Edge's segment again against AEW's wedding segment. Edge's segment won hands down. Hands fucking down. You're looking at this wedding segment, you're wondering who's going to interfere in this. Is Best Friend somehow going to put the screws to this, or are we going to introduce a new player? What exactly is going on here? We got to see the wedding in its entirety. Impact Wrestling's father, James Mitchell, was in the house. He was the referee. I say referee. He was the reverend. He was the reverend for this momentous occasion. There's your Impact AEW crossover there, folks. Yeah, that just take it for what it's worth. Anyway, no, we saw the wedding, and you're going, okay, where is it? We're waiting patiently. Where is it? Miro, I love the jab that he took about WWE there. At one point, Father James Mitchell, he says, if there's anybody here that feel this wedding shouldn't take place, let them speak now. And Miro grabs the mic. He says, no. I've seen how this goes down at the other place. Nah, let's just bypass that altogether. Just jump to the I do's. And everybody was chuckling and all that. And it's funny because I was chatting it up with some folks in the Discord. And at one point, Miro goes, what is love? And I'm like, instantly, did somebody say, what is love? And I literally, on my phone, I don't know what the fuck, but sometimes I just have these GIFs queued up. And I just pulled up Hathaway's What is Love? So I'm just, spamming the fuck out of it. And then sure enough, a couple of minutes after I put that out there, somehow Miro comes back to What is Love again, like several minutes later. And now you've got the fans actually chanting What is Love? And they're pretty much doing the main chorus for that song. I laughed my ass off. Like, hey, that's a good crowd. That's a good, smart crowd. I love that. That's good shit right there. But no, you're still wondering, okay, what's going on here? Is somebody going to interfere? What's happening here? Are we going to get a mystery surprise crasher? Then you're starting to think, well, maybe Miro here is the one that's essentially the mole. Maybe Miro, is essentially not really a best man, so to speak. Maybe he's the one that is going to somehow turn on Penelope Ford, and her boo. No. It did kind of seem like that, though. It did seem like maybe that was the direction that we were going to be going in. Somehow Miro ends up having his, and this was it's kind of weird for me, but somehow Miro gets so distracted by this GIF that I'm trying to think. I think it was, oh man, I'm trying to think which one from Best Friends had the GIF there. I think it was. Give me a second here. Let me look at my notes. I think it was Chuck Taylor. I think it was Chuck Taylor that had a present for the bride and groom. And Miro was under the impression that there was actually somebody in there, and so he beat the living crap out of it, threw it out there, told Chuck to clean it up and everything. And while he's Miro, that is, while he's distracted, removing all the debris that's in the ring, he's looking on at the bride and groom, and somehow Chuck ends up slapping handcuffs on Miro. And so you go, so the best friends had a plan the entire time. Orange Cassidy was in the cake, and he pretty much extracted his revenge on Kip Sabian, beating the holy crap out of him and everything. So, yeah, that pretty much was all those weeks of build up, all those weeks of anticipation and everything. And this was your send off. Forgive me if I feel disappointed, but and not for nothing, I'm not being too hard. A lot of people felt like that's it. This is okay. All right, AEW. That's where we're going with this. Okay. All right, cool. Meanwhile, as all of that is going on, NXT, Johnny Gargano, he finds out that at TakeOver, he's going to be defending that North American Championship against Kushida. He storms to William Regal's office to demand why this match is happening. When he gets into the office, it turns out Kushida is there. Kushida beats the holy crap out of him, lays him out. Last that we've seen of Johnny Gargano for the night. Also on NXT, Jessie Kami, I believe that's how you pronounce her name, or maybe it's Cammy. Cammy looks a little better to me. Cammy, Kame. Don't worry, give me a week. I'll get her pronunciation down. She faced Toni Storm. Match never really did get the popping. Showed a lot of potential, but after about 90 seconds, Mercedes Martinez came in there interfering. Jessie didn't appreciate that. She actually was looking forward to facing Toni Storm one-on-one, doing her best to represent the Stone brand. She actually was looking forward to this matchup. She actually tried getting in the face of Martinez. Martinez laying her out and continuing to put the holy beating there on Toni Storm. Io Shirai comes out, and now it's pretty much a all-girl brawl there. Io Shirai goes up to the top turnbuckle, does this weird backflip, like a back body splash, essentially. Crashes on, who were the girls there? She crashes on, not Jessie. I think at this point, Jessie just pretty much made her exit with Robert Stone and all that. But Io Shirai crashed on Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm. And just the way Io Shirai landed, you really were going, is that girl okay? Because it looked as though the way she did it, you gotta go back and peep it out. It looked as though the way she landed on her freaking face. But, once you see her moving about, she seemed like she was okay, essentially. But nice little spot that we got right there. Saw this newcomer tonight. Little promo for this guy named Curtis Stallion. Reminded me a lot of Heath Slater. If you want a Heath, I'm just saying, why not get Heath? He's got kids, First impressions mean everything to me, and Curtis Stallion, yeah, I see more. If I had to pick, I see more stock in Cameron Grimes, and I still am not a fan of the Cameron Grimes character. I'm still not. It was surprising to hear that some of Cameron Grimes' segments have been pretty good. My question to that is, well, what the hell was going on? Who was he involved with in regards to that segment? Because if he was just carrying it all on his own, okay, that's pretty impressive, but I would like to believe he must have had a little bit of help in there somewhere. I'm talking about Cameron Grimes for as long as I'm talking about him, because apparently he's going to be back in action next week. So for you Cameron Grimes fans, there you go. Meanwhile, go back to AEW. So, big reveal. Shaquille O'Neal, Red Velvet, that match between Cody and I'm sorry, Shaq and Jade taking on Cody and Red Velvet. That's going to be going down on Dynamite, March 3rd. Boy, I tell you, I hear that, and I'm going, wait a minute. We're not going to do this at a pay-per-view? If there was ever a time to make some money, get some buy rates and everything, get some social media buzz and all that, we're not going to do it at a pay-per-view? But then you start thinking about, okay, well, when is All-Star Weekend? And All-Star Weekend is supposed to be happening on March the 7th. So wait a minute. We know TNT is going to have all the coverage. We couldn't just have this match go down All-Star Weekend and let it be a AEW, TNT, NBA collaboration. We couldn't do something like that. I just was shaking my head at that. I just was very disappointed hearing that. Look, I hope it's going to be an entertaining matchup and everything, but we're going to blow the load on an episode of Dynamite. It is what it is. Meanwhile, we were talking about Curtis Stallion there. After his little promo, we get his match with Santos Escobar. Okay for what it's worth. Few people found it to be quite surprising that I wasn't really a fan of Santos Escobar, and I had to explain. I said, look, it's nothing personal against him. The character I have seen done so many times. His in-ring work is all right. That's solid, but it's just a character that I don't particularly, because I've seen it recycled so many times. But what had me colored intrigued was post-match, or actually during the match, seeing Scarlett Bordeaux out in the distance. You're going, oh yeah, well, if she's there, Karrion Kross can't be that far. And sure enough, after Santos Escobar picked up the dub, Karrion Kross made his presence felt. Escobar's men tried to come after Kross, made work of them with ease, gets in the face of Escobar and pretty much told him, you know what, it seems like you and me aren't really on the same page. You and me have been butting heads for a couple of weeks now, so I'm gonna make this rather very easy for you, and pretty much the way and pretty much the way Karrion Kross owned Escobar was fucking awesome. I just laughed my ass off at this, because Karrion Kross has essentially said to my man, you either gonna give it to me or I'm gonna fucking take it, basically. Karrion Kross, he says to him, it's obvious we got a problem. I'm gonna give you a little bit of time. You can take all the time that you want, but just know time is a double-edged sword. Go run along now. Tick-tock, tick-tock. That pretty much was it. So you're like, ooh, okay. Nice. Fucking nice. Meanwhile, we get to see Edge one last time. Edge got caught up to by an interviewer. And Edge says, look, I haven't made my decision yet. I know you're probably looking for that big scoop, but I haven't made my decision yet. Karrion Kross walks up to Edge. And that was pretty badass. And Kross says to him, you obviously have a big decision to make. And I hope that as far as logic goes, you choose logic over emotion, because he'll be the champ, not Finn or Pete. This is what Karrion Kross is saying to Edge. So you got Karrion Kross essentially saying to Edge, those guys ain't gonna be your threat. I'm the guy that you need to be worried about. And Edge tells Kross, hey, words like that motivates me big time. Maybe I'll come back here when I get a free moment. We'll see. So that pretty much just ended like that. But good shit right there. And the more and more you're looking at this, you're going, damn, Edge and NXT wouldn't be so fucking bad. How about that? Let's have that. See what else we got here. AEW, meanwhile, Lance Archer took on Eddie Kingston. Lance Archer, your winner. A lot of potential, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Something weird was going on there. I don't know if it was because all the stuff that was going on at ringside and essentially the lumberjacks. I don't know if maybe that was it, but I couldn't really get into it. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. Sorry, but I couldn't really get into it for whatever respective reason. Let's see. Main event match time. AEW had Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers taking on Death Triangle's Pac and Ray Phoenix and Jon Moxley. Meanwhile, NXT had Bobby Fish and Adam Cole take on Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. Remember, that was your Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic quarterfinals matchup. So those two matches were pretty much going head to head. That felt like a pretty much a tie for me. It honestly did. Omega and the Good Brothers going over in their main event match. Post-match, though, was really, really fucking cool because Jon Moxley, as all the chaos is erupting outside the ring and the action is still going on amongst all respected teams, you got Moxley sharing the ring there with Omega, and this is essentially like the first time that Moxley has had his hands or is able to get his hands on Omega in a one-on-one situation. So now Moxley can extract whatever revenge and all that he wants to get on him and everything. All of a sudden, a mystery opponent just comes out of nowhere, attacks Moxley from behind, leaves his ass laid the fuck out. I mean, laid out. You're seeing this, you're going, okay, so who the hell is this mystery man? Who the hell is this guy that fucking did what he did to Jon Moxley there? And next thing you know, he takes off his hoodie and his mask, and it's freaking KENTA. KENTA hits Moxley with the go to sleep. Kenny Omega is looking on, all big smiles, and you're like, oh snap, shit just got real interesting. And KENTA, mind you, is wearing the Bullet Club shirt and everything. So that was a very, very interesting dynamic that you had to close out this AEW event as New Japan's KENTA essentially invaded AEW. Loved it. All right, so now you got that interesting dynamic that's going on there. And then not for nothing, but another thing that you guys need to remember with regards to this, and I'll have to rely on you guys to correct me if I'm wrong, but currently Jon Moxley has the IWGP United States Championship. So the fact that we got that little cross-promotional thing going on there, that's badass. Like, it's essentially knocking out two birds with one stone when you really think about it, because on the one hand, we've got this IWGP United States Champion in Jon Moxley, and he's able to do his thing, go to New Japan and all that. Obviously, New Japan wants some type of a rub-off. We got KENTA in there, and now we got KENTA essentially as part of the Bullet Club there with Omega and the Good Brothers. I mean, it's awesome how this is pretty much expanding, but continuing to be in the background quietly is the Impact invasion. When you really take a step back and you think about it. Now, we haven't talked about Impact Wrestling yet. That's going to be talked about on a separate show, on Impact Showdown. That'll be available for on demand and on downloads wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify. In case you guys may not know, we are back on Spotify. We've been back on Spotify for several weeks now, but the way I'm doing Spotify going forward, Spotify is pretty much your go-to place just for episodes of Impact Showdown. Maybe at a later date, I'll entertain having some other shows launch. But for now, only Impact Showdown is available on Spotify. Now, you can get Impact Showdown on the other outlets. I'm just saying, if you all notice the Spotify feed for the RCWR show, all it has right now is episodes of Impact Showdown. Like I said, at a later date, I'll probably upload more shows of our other series, but that'll come in due time. But so I mean, that's good, but you feel where I'm coming from? You know, I'm really concerned about this Impact joint, because the way it's just looking right now, you know, where's the Weird Swans? Where's the, you know, I'm still looking at this, just kind of scratching my head going, all right, what's up? You know, are we maybe gonna do this after Kenta and Moxley? After we get that little feud out the way, are we maybe gonna? How are we doing this? It just makes me really concerned, because when you really just take a step back and think about it, here's a perfect analogy for you guys. The way I feel right now with this AEW Impact Invasion, it makes me feel like this. Let's say AEW is your best friend. And AEW says, hey, that's a really cool PlayStation 5. I'll give you a bag of Doritos if you let me. Now, first of all, you gotta be one stupid motherfucker to let somebody borrow your PlayStation 5. But just stay with me. I'm dealing with whatever pops in my mind. Actually, that's too extreme. Let's deal with a video game. Let's go with Cyberpunk 2077. All right. Let's just say that game is perfect. No problems, no glitches. Let's go with that. All right. All right. So your best friend is essentially AEW, and they say, "Hey, let me see who's in the chat here. Let me just pick on, give me a name here. Let's pick on Alfred here, who commented earlier in the chat. Let's pick on Alfred. So AEW says to Alfred, hey, I'll give you a bag of these chips and my hoagie sandwich if you let me borrow Cyberpunk 2077. And Alfred's like, well, I am hungry. Yeah, I don't have anything to eat. I'm not going to be able to eat for about 8 more hours. Yeah, sure. Just make sure you bring the game back a couple of days. Perfect condition. I don't want to see no scratches on my disc. AEW's like, yeah, sure, no problem. All right, so while they still got your Cyberpunk game and all that, they hit you up the next day. Oh, hey, did you buy that newest issue of Thor? Did you get Thor number 12 yet? And Alfred's like, yeah, I got Thor number 12. Oh, sweet. Did you finish reading it yet? Yeah, it was a pretty good story. You want to hear about it? No. Could you let me borrow it? Well, I just let you borrow my Cyberpunk 2077. Come on, man. You know I'm good for it. Well, what you gonna give me in return? Well, I can't think of anything right now, but I'll hook you up with something, I'm sure. All right, bet. So it's like AEW is getting all the spoils. And Alfred, in this case, is Impact. It's like, and when it counts the most, Impact isn't, you feel where I'm coming from? So I'm really, really starting to have some concerns here about, because it looks very one-sided. Very, very one-sided. Yeah, and for me, this could all be rectified just by simply doing something at the Impact Plus event that they're going to be doing, I believe, this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. And then they got another Impact, they got a pay-per-view event that's going to be coming up. It's like, okay, well, let's do something. Let's make something happen already. And the fact that we haven't, I'm just concerned. I hope I'm tripping for no reason, but it just, let me know how you guys have been liking or maybe not liking. If you guys have the same concerns as I do with regards to what's happening there with that feud. I am keeping track of time. Just a couple more little tidbits of news we can get into. And when it's all said and done, we're probably going to have ourselves about maybe almost an hour, 20-minute show. So my homework assignment is rather easy. So I would actually be done with it in about 5 minutes. So a couple little tidbits I want to bring to you all's attention here. So it looks like Lars Sullivan is apparently gone from WWE. There's a lot of reports that's floating around that he is done with WWE. And just to kind of follow up on that, as more information had came out, It's interesting too because this news originally broke out yesterday that Lars was done with WWE. But apparently, and shout out to the good kind folks over there at FIFO, man. FIFO actually spoke to Lars Sullivan. And Lars Sullivan did confirm that, he has been released by the WWE. And he revealed that he told WWE he was done with wrestling in its entirety. He was done with the wrestling industry as a whole, mainly due to his anxiety. And while he did confirm he was gone, he said he was surprised WWE didn't announce the news themselves, but figured it was due to them being nice to him. And he complimented how his release was handled, noting it was done with compassion and honesty. And he kept reiterating that he was treated well by the WWE office and locker room, and he wasn't bullied. He added that in regards to his anxiety issues, it had became so bad that he wasn't able to eat on days he was set to appear on TV and had trouble sleeping. And on top of that, he had lost his father last year. So, yeah, that's going to add to more problems. And he pretty much said that he's his own worst enemy and owned up to multiple issues that stopped him from succeeding in WWE, which he said was his dream job. He said he likely wouldn't wrestle anymore and called his past actions idiocy and selfish behavior, adding that he was grateful for his time in WWE. So, interesting what's going on there with Lars Sullivan. So there's Lars in his own words. Look. With regards to the whole anxiety thing, the thing that I don't understand, one of the last times we saw Lars Sullivan on WWE programming, it was on an episode of Friday Night SmackDown going back to October of 2020. That was the last time he was seen. I believe he defeated Shorty G, but don't quote me on that. But the last time he appeared was back then. Just think about that for a second. We're already dealing with the pandemic, well in full effect by then. WWE is essentially already doing studio shows. They are not performing in front of a live audience in attendance. If anything, maybe you got a couple of your peers here and there, but that's essentially it. So the fact that Lars couldn't even show up to do that, I mean, that's got to be freaking easy, I would think. Hey, you ain't got to worry about a crowd. Just come in, do your thing, just focus on your dance partner. 5 minutes later, you're done. So for me, I'm not calling what he's saying bullshit by any stretch. I'm not calling it bullshit. What I think, honestly, is that anxiety, loss of his dad, I think everything, just the totality, the stuff that went down with the gay porn, the messaging boards, somebody that's already dealing with anxiety and all that, everything is going to be heightened even more, right? So I think it really did get the best of him. He's saying that he's done with pro wrestling altogether. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. But I'll tell you this, I wish the guy nothing but the very best. That guy definitely needs to do his very best to find whatever truly makes him happy, really dig down deep from within and figure it out. Because it's obvious he's dealing with some stuff, and hopefully those demons won't get the best of him. He'll be able to overcome them. And, you can't just say, well, this stuff that had went down, I was an idiot, I was this, I was that. Action speaks louder than words. And it's what most everybody's going to be watching going forward is, okay, what's that next step you're going to be taking? How are you going to convince yourself that you've matured, you've grown up from these isolated incidents that went down over here, and we should really take you for your word at face value that you're a different person now compared to that stuff that was in the forums and all of that. Very contradictory when you stop and think about it. So weird though, very, very, very weird, very weird. I mean, to each its own. To each its own. Go in there, no crowd, work 5 minutes, easy money. Yeah, you must be dealing with some serious issues if you can't. Hey, God bless them. God bless them. Other than that, just seeing if there's anything else we need to get into while we're still here. I don't really think there is. News headline wise, there's really nothing else that we need to get into. Sports related news. Shout out to former NFL coach Marty Schottenheimer. I don't know if you guys had heard about this, but apparently he's now in hospice. And for you younger cats that don't know anything about hospice, pretty much when you are placed in hospice, it's just a matter of, it could be hours, days, it could be a week or two, a couple of weeks. It's just a matter of time before you're deceased. When you go to hospice, it's just pretty much preparing you for that transitional phase, just making your last days on this planet as comfortable as possible so that you can have a peaceful transition into the afterlife. And Marty Schottenheimer has been moved to hospice care, 77 years old. The Hall of Famer coach has been dealing with Alzheimer's disease. So, yeah, that's what's been going on with him. I remember for the brief period of time when we had him out here as head coach for the Washington Redskins. We had him, we had him in the 2001 season, if I remember. That's when he was the coach. And, he was okay. He was okay. If I remember it right, when I'm thinking about it, when he was doing his thing for the Washington Redskins, I think that was only like his one and only season. It kind of feels like, but he became the first Redskins coach in NFL history to win 5 consecutive games immediately after losing the first 5. Believe it or not. But Daniel Snyder, Daniel Snyder, he decided to fire Martin Schottenheimer after their record. What was it? I think they were 8-8 for that season. He decided to make that move. It was a power play move. He decided to do it in favor of trying to get a hold of, at that point, University of Florida's coach, Steve Spurrier. So, you kind of like, well, what could have happened? What might have happened had they been able to continue to work there with Schottenheimer and all that? But yeah, that's sad to hear. We're very, very sad to hear. Somebody in my girl's family years ago, about, I would say 5 years ago, was dealing with dementia, and it was heartbreaking. It was very, very heartbreaking. So definitely thoughts, prayers, and strength goes to the Schottenheimer family. Other than that, you know what? We can stick a fork in it. We can pretty much call this show DONE done. We're good. You guys got about essentially an hour and 20 minutes. So that's good. So at this point, next edition, we're going to be doing for you guys. I believe Impact is supposed to be doing something this weekend on Impact Plus. So I'll probably do a post show. We'll probably stream that live for you guys. And then Monday, back on the saddle again. We got a new RCWR show Monday, February 8th. You guys will get that show. So tune in for that. That's going to be good. Hey, as you guys make your exit, if you enjoyed the episode, subscribe so you don't miss out on all the great content that we put out on a weekly basis. I saw we got ESK. ESK has subscribed. Shout out to you. Appreciate that. But yeah, subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. Share the content. If you're watching this via YouTube, definitely hit the like. It lets those YouTube gods know you enjoyed the content. All right, show the love. You can definitely get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use keywords, the RCWR show. I love interacting with followers, so make sure you're utilizing those platforms. I do my best to interact with my followers on those social platforms, so do represent. And until next go round, oh my God, I can't believe I almost forgot. We definitely got to shout out our Patreons. Love our Patreon members. Remember, patreon.com/RCWR show. That's where you can check out bonus audio and video content. Not going to be able to find anywhere else. New month is here. That means boatloads of new content. So do sign up. Join the likes of Anthony DeBlasi. Shout out to you, my friend. Shout out to Gino Morgan. Gino. Shout out to Freddie. Shout out to Justin Rustock. Shout out to J.D. Davis. Shout out to Michael Wolf. Shout out to Tony Bean Gaming. You want the very latest in all things Marvel Strike Force, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Marvel Super War, Marvel's Avengers by Square Enix for your tips, tricks, news, walkthroughs, and reviews. Tony Bean Gaming. He's on YouTube. He has a Patreon page as well. So check that out. Good stuff. And yeah, that's going to do it. For those of you that tuned in live, appreciate the love and the support as always. You guys have no idea. Sorry about that. We got a game emulator that's loading up there at the last fucking minute. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Hang on. Continue to shut down the emulator. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know why, but that just opened the fuck up for no apparent reason there. I don't get that. But yeah, appreciate the love and support as always, guys, especially from those of you that's going to be checking this out for on demand and on the downloads. Until next go round, wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you guys next go round. Y'all do take care. Adios.